Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 128 based on novel. So let's start. Planet Chen-Yun, a rank 7 cultivation planet under the Cultivation Alliance. It can be said that even amongst the rank 7 cultivation planets, it is a top-tier existence, and that's because there is a person named Allseer on planet Chen-Yun. The Allseer is considered an extremely respected sage of his generation. He even has a seat in the Cultivation Alliance. He is someone many don't wish to mess with. A rank 7 cultivation planet would normally have many rank 6 cultivation planets under their control to bolster their own power, but this is not true for planet Chen-Yun. There are only 5 cultivation planets around planet Chen-Yun, and they are all rank 6 cultivation planets. They are named Heaven, Earth, Human, Life, and Fate. There is a giant transfer array connecting these 5 planets to planet Chen-Yun. However, the cost of opening it is great, so it is not easily used. Aside from these 5 planets, there are many more smaller planets around planet Chen-Yun. These are all personal cultivation caves of old monsters. Even though there are transfer arrays connecting them, they are normally sealed and won't easily be opened. At the extreme eastern part of the planet Chen-Yun, there is a giant transfer array. This transfer array is controlled by the Heavenly Fate sect and has someone stationed there year-round. Zhao was one of the guards in charge of this area. He woke up early in the day and has been sitting in the lotus position outside the array ever since. Zhao was the Green Division's 5th generation disciple. He has cultivated for 700 years and has reached the mid-stage of soul formation. He is more or less satisfied with his life. It has to be said that just being a disciple of the Heavenly Fate sect gives him a very high position on this planet. Anywhere he goes, he will be admired and respected by others. Zhao opened his eyes and let out a long sigh. Only 3 more months and someone will come to replace me. Once I return to the sect, I must go into closed-door cultivation for several years to push toward the late stage of soul formation. Once I reach the late stage of soul formation, I'll apply to leave the sect to train. If I can get myself some celestial jades, then I, Zhao, might really have a chance to reach the soul transformation stage. While thinking about this, Zhao's eyes revealed a look of longing. Unfortunately, my luck is not good. If I were as lucky as the ancestors who were directly accepted as the founding ancestors' disciples, then none of this would be a problem. Alas, ever since I, Zhao, was a child, I dreamed of reaching the ascendant stage. I would be able to have a planet as my own cultivation cave. Isn't that the most joyous thing in the world? Zhao let out a bitter smile, then he took a deep breath and was about to continue cultivating. However, just at this moment, a ray of purple light moved across the sky like a meteor and broke the sound barrier. Soon, the purple light closed in and was only 10,000 feet away. Zhao's expression became serious. He didn't stand up but coldly looked at the incoming ray of purple light. There were also a few people that used the transfer array every day. Aside from the few very powerful cultivators, even if their cultivation level was higher than his, Zhao still looked down on them because he, Zhao, was a disciple of the Heavenly Fate sect. At this moment, just as the sun began to rise in the sky, the ray of purple light slowed down, allowing Zhao to see the person inside it. This person had a head full of long hair that was simply flowing behind him. He was wearing a purple robe and arrived 10 feet before Zhao with one step. The person then looked at Zhao coldly. Zhao's gaze fell on the token on this person's waist. On the token, there was a 7 clearly carved out. At the moment he saw the token, Zhao's body started trembling. Without any hesitation, he stood up and respectfully said, "Green Division's 5th generation disciple Zhao greets Purple Division's 7th ancestor." Zhao's demeanor right now was extremely respectful, but his heart was pounding. Although he wasn't qualified to join the founding ancestors' birthday celebration, he had heard plenty of rumors. Among these rumors, the one that was talked about the most was that the founding ancestor accepted a new disciple, the 7th disciple of the Purple Division, Wang Lin. As soon as this Wang Lin entered the Purple Division, he completely turned it upside down. After brutally killing the Purple Division's second brother, he even joined the fight for the title of True Disciple. This person used his mid-stage soul transformation cultivation to fight the fourth sister of the Purple Division, who was at the late stage of soul transformation, and won. But this was not the important part of the rumor. The important part was that the sixth brother of the Purple Division, who was an ascendant cultivator, suddenly returned, and a great battle started. Although Wang Lin lost this battle, all of the Heavenly Fate sect disciples' view of him changed greatly. The 3 killing spells became Wang Lin's signature move, and the powerful demonic aura gave Wang Lin a peerless aura. These various rumors passed through many people before finally reaching Zhao Sai's ears. As far as he knew, this Wang Lin was a demonic cultivator who not only had a bad temper but would immediately kill anyone who irritated him. Open the formation to Earth planet. Wang Lin's voice was calm. He stepped past Zhao Sai and directly entered the transfer array. When he was in the air, he had already observed his transfer array. This array took up an almost 5-kilometer wide area and had countless complex symbols carved into the ground. Waves of powerful aura came out from the array and spread out. From a distance, it looked like there was dense fog here that prevented people from getting a better look. There were countless ravines within this 5-kilometer area. They were like intertwining rivers before they all flowed into the ocean. There was a mysterious power that moved through these ravines filled with energy. The transfer array that covered this 5-kilometer area no longer looked like a transfer array, it was more like a primal beast. The complexity of this array was already far beyond any other transfer array Wang Lin had seen before. Zhao Sai took a deep breath and immediately responded. He went to the side of the transfer array, formed a seal, and sent a ray of green light toward it. At the moment the green light entered the transfer array, the giant transfer array began to rumble. In the end, it was like the heavens were shaking. The mysterious power inside the complex ravines began to gradually spread out and emit a ghostly light. At this moment, if one were looking from above, they would see sections of the ravines gradually lighting up to form a giant symbol. This was a symbol that covered a 5-kilometer wide area, and its complexity was unimaginable. At this moment, Wang Lin was standing at the center of this symbol. In almost the blink of an eye, the giant symbol released a powerful glow. This light covered the area, and at that moment, the heavens and earth were covered in a ghostly light. Zhao Sai was already used to this, so as soon as the array lit up, he closed his eyes. After counting 5 seconds, he opened them. There was no one left inside the array, and everything was the same as before. Only the ghostly light remained. It looked like a cloud of fireflies as it slowly drifted back into the ravines. Zhao Sai looked at the empty transfer array with envy in his yes, then he let out a sigh and muttered to himself, I wonder what this Purple Division's 7th ancestor is going to the Earth planet for. Well, this has nothing to do with me, and I should focus on cultivating so I can reach the late stage of soul formation as soon as possible. Zhao Sai shook his head and then sat down and continued cultivating. The Earth planet was one of the 5 planets orbiting planet Qianyun. From a distance, it was completely earth yellow and there were countless halos moving over its surface. The size of this planet was around the same as planet Suzaku. The Xianyuan sect was the only rank 6 cultivation country on this planet. The entire Xianyuan sect was one country, and it had countless cultivators. Their ancestor was named Xianming, his cultivation was already past the ascendant stage. There was very little sea on this planet, so most of it was land. Millions of miles to the west of Xianyuan was where the rank 5 cultivation country of Lingyu lied. On this day, the area around the transfer array next to the Xianyuan sect had been cleaned out. There was no one but disciples of the sect within dozens of meters of the array. Outside the transfer array, the junior sect master of the Xianyuan sect, Shi Yunshan, silently stood there. He had a treasured fan that he would occasionally hit his palm with. 3 days ago, he heard from a good friend in the Heavenly Fate sect that someone from the Purple Division was going to come to become the messenger for Ling Yu. Normally, Shi Yunshan wouldn't care about a small matter like this, but when he learned that the person that was coming was the Purple Division's 7th brother, the new disciple that the All-Seer had just accepted, Wang Lin, he suddenly had a change of heart. As someone from the rank 6 cultivation country that was under the control of planet Qianyun, he had a detailed recording of each of the All-Seer's disciples to note their preferences. His main focus was normally the true disciples, and he normally wouldn't care about Wang Lin if not for the fact that the All-Seer seemed to have been paying close attention to him during the birthday celebration. This Wang Lin had appeared out of nowhere, so the Xian Yuan sect knew very little about him. Also, from the Xian Yuan sect's point of view, Wang Lin had a lot of potential. It was better to make friends now rather than later, and that was why this was happening. Behind Xu Yunshan stood several old people. They all had heads of white hair and were the most powerful of the Xian Yuan sect's elders. Time slowly passed until it was noon. When the sun was at its highest, a rumbling sound suddenly came from the transfer array. The rumbling noise caught Xu Yunshan's attention. He put away the treasured fan, put on a smile, and looked at the transfer array. The rumbling sound became louder and louder. Ghostly light came out from the ground and covered the sky to form an illusionary symbol. At the center of the symbol, space bent and a person slowly walked out. This person was wearing a purple robe and there was a 7 carved onto the purple token on his waist. The symbol above the array slowly disappeared. Wang Lin walked out of the array and calmly looked around before his gaze landed on Xu Yunshan. Xu Yunshan's eyes narrowed before he let out a laugh and asked, "You Wang Lin, the All-Seer's disciple?" Wang Lin's expression was calm as he clasped his hands. "I am." "So is?" Xu Yunshan smiled and said, "I'm the junior sect master of the Xian Yuan sect of Earth Planet. I'm here to do my duty as a host. Brother Wang, please don't refuse." "Then I'll bother Brother Xu." Wang Lin faintly smiled. This Xu Yunshan's cultivation level was the same as his mid-stage of soul transformation. He left the Heavenly Fate sect because he wanted a quiet place to cultivate. There was too much competition and fighting at the Heavenly Fate sect, so it was not suited for cultivation. He had just arrived on the planet and couldn't simply refuse his host's hospitality. Xu Yunshan laughed and talked the entire way. After telling Wang Lin about the situation on the planet, he arranged a very beautiful and peaceful place for Wang Lin to stay. After setting their meeting time tomorrow, Xu Yunshan left. The environment here was very graceful and quiet. Wang Lin went inside the room, opened the window, and looked outside. Delicate flowers covered the area and were all competing with each other to bloom. Wang Lin opened the door and slowly walked through this flower garden. The most important thing right now is to raise my cultivation level. Although I have been away from planet Suzaku for a few years now, Torsen is still like a sword hanging above my head. He can leave the land of ancient God at any time, and when he does, he will definitely come for me. Wang Lin frowned. The matter with Torsen was like having a fishbone stuck in his throat. It was like an invisible whip that forced him to continue cultivating so that he could continue to survive. While looking at the beautiful flowers in the garden, Wang Lin began to ponder. Celestial slaughter art? I was able to study it for a bit on the way here. It is indeed an exquisite art. To use life force seals to protect my body can indeed create a powerful defense. The heaven-defying bead is still missing the metal element for it to be complete. The matter of getting metal element is another thing I need to resolve as soon as possible. Sichu Nan thinks that the heaven-defying bead will only recognize an owner after the 5 elements are complete. At that moment, will it finally be able to show its real power? However, he doesn't know what kind of power the heaven-defying bead has for the Cultivation Alliance to fight over it. I wonder how things are going on planet Suzaku. Wang Lin raised his head to look into the void. His gaze seemed to travel an unfathomable distance and landed on the faraway planet Suzaku. After staying at the Xian Yuan sect for 2 days, Xu Yunshan guided Wang Lin to the rank 5 cultivation country of Lingyu. In these 2 days, Xu Yunshan was a good talker. After making an effort to get to know Wang Lin, they got along well. The country of Lingyu already knew that a core disciple of the Purple Division was being sent as the messenger. The entire country put this as top priority and had everything prepared to greet the messenger. At the border of Lingyu, Xu Yunshan faintly smiled and said, "Brother Wang, this is the rank 5 cultivation country of Lingyu. This country isn't very big, it only has 4 sects. but this country produces a lot of spirit items and is very famous on this planet. Wang Lin nodded. The two of them moved very fast as they passed the border and quickly entered the country of Lingyu. At the center of Lingyu, there was a heaven-ascending tower. This was where all the messengers lived. There were more than 100 cultivators standing outside the tower, waiting for the arrival of the messenger. Not long after, 2 rays of light came from the horizon, breaking the sound barrier. At this moment, the people at the foot of the tower all raised their heads. When the 2 rays of light closed in, the cultivators at the foot of the tower respectfully said, "The cultivators of Lingyu greet the Heavenly Fate Sect's Lord Messenger and the Xian Yuan Sect's Junior Sect Master." Xu Yuanshan laughed and said, "I'll say goodbye now. If I have time in the future, we can drink and talk again." With that, Xu Yunshan flew off into the distance. After Xu Yunshan left, Wang Lin was the only one left in the sky. He floated in the air and calmly looked at the people below him. Among the more than 100 cultivators here, 10 of them were at the highest cultivation level, the late stage of soul transformation. Everyone else's cultivation levels were a bit low. Among these people, one of them caught Wang Lin's attention. This person had a head of white hair and looked very old. He was the one with the highest cultivation level here. He was basically half a step into the ascendant stage. Wang Lin slowly descended and landed at the base of the tower. He didn't let those cultivators before him speak before calmly saying, "Although I'm the messenger, I won't bother you with anything. Keep doing what you were doing before. I'm going to go into closed-door cultivation, so no one is allowed within 5,000 kilometers of here." The surrounding cultivators were all startled, but all of these cultivators had lived for a long time and were all as sly as foxes. After the initial startle, they all quickly responded and scattered. The old man who was half a step into the ascendant stage carefully looked at Wang Lin before leaving. The cultivators beside the old man quickly followed him. In an instant, the base of the tower was devoid of anyone beside Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was normal as he waved his sleeves and walked into the tower. Once he was inside, he sat down in the lotus position and slapped his bag of holding to take out the restriction flag. With one shake of the flag, countless strands of black gas charged out of the tower and covered the surrounding 5,000 kilometers. The surrounding 5,000-kilometer area was suddenly covered in a black fog and gave off a gloomy aura. After finishing all of this, Wang Lin pondered a bit before hitting his forehead with his palm and spitting out a 30-foot-long flag. Although the 1 billion soul flag had lost most of its soul fragments, there were still several primary souls left. Wang Lin shook the flag, causing the primary souls to be released into the black fog to increase protection. He released every primary soul except for the Chilean soul fragment, because that wouldn't be convenient to release. After doing all of this, Wang Lin took a deep breath, then he waved his hand and a jade appeared. This jade was completely grey. It was the one that the grey-robed Allseer gave him, the Celestial Slaughter Art. Celestial Slaughter Art. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then his divine sense entered the jade. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 1 month went by. In this past month, none of the sects of Lingyu could figure out this new messenger. Normally, when a messenger came, they would demand spirit stones and celestial jades. In order to avoid trouble, they would always give them some. This had basically become a tradition. But now this person who came from planet Qianyun and was even the disciple of the Allseer didn't leave the tower for an entire month. The surrounding area was also covered in a black fog, causing normal people to not dare to take one step into the area. There were some soul transformation cultivators who wanted to enter to see what was going on, but after going 1,000 feet deep into the fog, they all quickly retreated with ugly expressions. The new messenger gradually became more mysterious in the eyes of the cultivators of Lingyu. At this moment, inside the tower, Wang Lin was still sitting in the lotus position. He looked exactly the same as he did 1 month ago. He spent this entire month of studying the contents of the jade. The Celestial Slaughter Art was, in fact, a life force seal, meaning it was not something that could easily be comprehended. Wang Lin's talent was already not very good, and the Celestial Slaughter Art was very complex. He could only slowly think about it and carefully experiment to gradually master it. Wang Lin knew that he couldn't rush this. Time continued to pass and another half a month went by. Not only did the cultivators of Lingyu not lose interest in this messenger, they became even more interested. This was because there was a change in the black fog surrounding the tower. In the first month, it was quiet, but in the last half-month, there were loud whistling sounds. It was as if there were many flying swords flying back and forth through the area. There were also thunderous roars that could shake the heavens coming out from the black fog. This made all of the cultivators of Lingyu even more curious. Finally, the old man who was half a step into the ascendant stage stood up and took a trip to the tower. 3 days later, the old man came back. His expression was very ugly and his eyes were filled with shock. After he came back, all of the sects sent out a message saying that no disciple is allowed within 5,000 kilometers of the tower, or else they would be punished as a traitor. As a result, the area 5,000 kilometers around the tower became a forbidden zone in Lingyu. Wang Lin spent the entire month and a half studying the celestial slaughter art. This art depended on slaughter, so the more one killed, more seals would stack on top of each other. Once the seals stack to a certain point, it will become the strongest defense in the world. However, this art was very difficult to cultivate. After 1.5 months of time, Wang Lin still couldn't find the essence to it and finally decided to give up on it for now. Instead, he decided to comprehend the heavens so that he could continue to refine his current spells. During that time, he encountered a backlash from the war chariot. This was the first backlash after he released the first seal. Wang Lin was already prepared for this, and after battling with the beast for several days, he used a secret spell to suppress it. The spirit beast's backlash failed. The old man from Lingyu entered the area during that time and personally saw the unyielding spirit beast. After suppressing the war chariot, Wang Lin silently cultivated for several days. On this day, he suddenly opened his eyes, and his eyes showed signs of enlightenment. The celestial slaughter art should be comprehended amidst slaughter. Trying to comprehend it by just sitting here is a bit lacking. If I really want to cultivate this art, then everything must start with slaughter. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, then he stood up, took one step, and stepped directly out of the tower. Wang Lin was floating 10,000 feet above the tower. With eyes bright as torches, he raised his right hand and all the black fog began rushing toward him. It looked like the black fog was being pushed from its outer rim toward Wang Lin. The sky and clouds changed color. Roaring thunder echoed from within the clouds. These thunderous roars spread out and echoed across all of Lingyu. In almost the blink of an eye, all of the black fog within 5,000 kilometers gathered in his hand in the form of a ball the size of a baby's head, and it had lightning running through it. The ball was filled with fog and flashes of the restrictions. There was also a powerful pressure coming out of it as it flickered. Wang Lin squeezed his hand and the flashing restriction inside suddenly collapsed and turned into countless strands of black gas which started to circle around him. Finally, the strands of black gas intertwined before him to form a golden-purple flag. The flag waved without any wind and created bursts of flapping sounds. At this moment, the surrounding 5,000-kilometer area was clear, but there were still some roars coming from the void, and flashes of black shadows could be seen. Primary souls, return. Wang Lin opened his mouth and the primary souls rushed back into it and then to the soul flag inside his origin soul. While I'm cultivating the celestial slaughter art, I might as well refine the soul flag too. Then my chance of survival on planet Tianyun will increase. Also, Master wants me to go to the Eastern Demon Sea in 3 months. Now I only have 1.5 months left. Should I go or not? Wang Lin's divine scent spread across Lingyu before his body turned into smoke and disappeared. Lingyu, 5-Spirit Mountain. The #1 cultivator in Lingyu, the old man who was half a step into the ascendant stage, was Old Man Tiantai of 5-Spirit Mountain. He was currently sitting at the top of 5-Spirit Mountain, absorbing the power of the moon, and cultivating. Old Man Tiantai opened his eyes. They were calm as he looked at the void and slowly said, "Old Man Tiantai greets Lord Messenger." A ray of purple light appeared in the void as Wang Lin appeared. He clasped his hands at Old Man Tiantai and said, "Sorry to bother you." Old Man Tiantai took a deep breath and shook his head. "It was I who was rude. If I didn't break the rule and enter the area last time and surprised that unyielding beast, I believe Lord Messenger would have had an easier time taming it. No problem. Wang Lin's gaze was calm as he looked at Old Man Qian Tai. This old man had already reached Dao-seeking part of the path to the ascendant stage. This was a very important stage for any late-stage soul transformation cultivator. It was a matter of life and death. One can be seeking Dao in the morning and be dead by night. The old man slightly closed his eyes and said, with a deep voice, "Since Lord Messenger isn't here about me entering the area, then what is Lord Messenger looking for an old man who is half a step into the grave for?" Wang Lin looked at the distance and slowly said, "Does this planet have any demonic beast-gathering grounds?" Old man Qian Tai's eyes became serious and he began to ponder. Shortly after, he waved his hand and a jade suddenly appeared. He said, "Lord Messenger, there are 3 demonic beast-gathering grounds on the planet, and they are recorded here." After accepting the jade, Wang Lin swept it with his divine sense. He nodded toward the old man before disappearing without a trace. Old man Qian Tai looked at where Wang Lin disappeared before slowly closing his eyes and muttering to himself, "This child is filled with brewing killing intent, his trip this time is to kill. I hope that no one offends him along the way." At the northern end of planet Earth, there are dense mountains that cover millions of kilometers. That place is a gathering ground for demonic beasts. There are even desolate beasts as powerful as ascendant cultivators there. That place is also where all the disciples on the planet test themselves. However, the 300,000-kilometer area at the center is considered a forbidden area and one shouldn't casually enter it. Wang Lin put the jade away, then he locked onto the direction he wanted to go, waved his right hand in the air, and a silver light suddenly appeared before him. Wang Lin began taking steps inside the silver light. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. As if he were walking up a flight of stairs, he took 10 steps in a row. 10 steps was what he could currently withstand to teleport at once. After 10 steps, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and his body flickered. At this moment, his body began to flash violently. Finally, there was a thunderous roar, and once the sound disappeared, there was no one there anymore. A large amount of silver light suddenly appeared in the clear sky in the northern part of the planet. The clear, blue sky began to change as ripples silently appeared and began to spread. After a few breaths of time, there was a bright flash of silver light at the center of the ripples. The brightness of the silver light could match the sun. It was as if there were 2 suns, one golden and one silver. Wang Lin's figure stepped out from the silver light. His face was a bit pale, and his breathing was a bit heavy. Only after he took out a pill and ate it did he slowly start to feel better. After he appeared, the silver light slowly disappeared and the change in the sky slowly returned to normal. Wang Lin didn't stop. He turned into a ray of light and charged toward the dense mountain range ahead of him. The ground before him was no longer an earthy yellow, it now had a layer of blue, ghostly light above it. There was a giant stone tablet that someone had placed into the ground with a powerful spell. There were several large, red words filled with killing intent carved onto the tablet. Earth Northern Demonic Lands. These 4 large words gave off a powerful aura that seemed to come at you like a tidal wave. The aura caused the surroundings to have a constant gust of wind that whistled on endlessly. As Wang Lin stood under the giant tablet, he raised his head and silently looked at it for a long time. There was a thin layer of mist behind the tablet, but it didn't conceal anything. If one looked carefully or spread out their divine sense, they would clearly see what was there. There was an endless stretch of mountain ranges behind the tablet. There were no roads, the ground was covered in leaves, and the air was filled with a rotting smell. Aside from this, the area was completely silent and without a sign of life. Even though it was daytime, there was a very cold aura coming out from the ground and spreading across the area. Wang Lin carefully looked at it for a while. After pondering a bit, he raised his foot and stepped toward the mountain range. The celestial slaughter art must be experienced during slaughter. Today I'll use this place to begin my cultivation of the celestial slaughter art. Just at this moment, several rays of sword energy appeared in the horizon. These sword energies were of all different bright colors and were emitting powerful energy. It was clear that none of these people had weak cultivation. Senior apprentice brother, we are here. Before the sword energy closed in, a voice came from one of them. Wang Lin's stride didn't even slightly pause because of the appearance of these people. He continued to step into the mountain range and his figure disappeared into the thin layer of mist. Shortly after his figure disappeared, several rays of sword energy landed before the tablet, revealing 5 people. Among the 5, 3 were male and 2 were female. Their clothes were clearly divided into 2 different styles, and all 5 of them were dressed well, were good-looking, and had powerful auras. Of the 2 females, one of them was wearing a red dress and had a beauty mark above her mouth. She softly said, "Senior apprentice brother, I think I just saw someone enter this area." This girl didn't look very old, but her cultivation level was at the late stage of core formation. Among the 3 males, there was one who was very good-looking and middle-aged. He was wearing a green and white robe, his hair was tied up with simple, black belt, and he had an ordinary sword on his back. After he heard the girl, he faintly smiled and said, "This is not a forbidden place, and a lot of different people from different sects come here to train, so there is nothing strange about seeing other people here. Once Uncle Master and them arrive, we will go inside together. At that time, all the cultivators we meet will avoid us, so you don't have to worry about it." Another one of the males among the 3, who looked like he was 20 or so years old and was wearing a blue robe, smiled and said, "That's right. Brother Guo belongs to the Da Lu Sword sect, which is one of the top 2 sects on planet Chen Yun. Even if he meets disciples of the Heavenly Fate sect, if they are too weak, they will still avoid him. There is no need to talk about the small sects on planet Earth." As for the remaining male and female, they were both silent, they didn't say a word. The woman even showed a hint of hatred when she looked at the 3, especially toward the man named Guo, and her hatred wasn't hidden at all. In terms of appearance, this woman was considered the prettier of the 2. She was wearing a white, cotton dress, on her waist she used a light blue silk ribbon to tie an elegant bow, and there was a rose hairpin on her silky, ink-black hair. Her skin was as smooth and flawless as jade without any need for makeup, and if it wasn't for the hatred on her face, she would be even more beautiful. The man named Guo faintly smiled. He didn't seem to care about the woman at all and softly said, "Lady Qian Qin, you can relax. I promise to leave 1 brilliant golden fruit for you, enough for you to bring back to your sect." The woman named Qian Qin's face was filled with killing intent as she stared at the man named Guo and coldly said, "Even with how famous the Da Luo Sword sect is, I can't believe you would use such despicable methods. I'm truly blind to have believed in you." The man named Guo shook his head and said, "If one has the luck, anyone can obtain these heavenly treasures. The brilliant golden fruit is of great use to my Uncle Master. Since you asked me for help, then I must report it to my sect." Wang Lin's figure moved inside this mountain range like lightning and his eyes became cold. Da Lu Sword sect, interesting. This will be a good chance to try to find some information on Senior Ju Yi's location. I just don't know what that brilliant golden fruit is. This video will end here.